General, is it correct on my part? You can say, no, Kartiki, you're wrong. Is it correct on my part to say that the ceasefire and LOC is restricting the soldiers on the border to inflict pain on Pakistani army, which is supporting these teams inside India?
Well, I am not in the line of control, but whatever open media is saying, I personally feel ceasefire is ceasefire. And India, for that matter, is a very responsible nation. Once an agreement goes in with any of the countries, we fulfill to the fullest of expectations. We are not the one
who is an understanding. It is an understanding right now what's happening on the border. The earlier one took place when Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister. In the first tenure, when Musharraf was holding the reins on the other side of the border, sir.
Absolutely. Kartikeya, it has to be seen from the perspective of what is happening around the world. You see, any security incident taking place anywhere in the world, let's not study that in isolation. There is a huge geopolitical churning taking place. There is a huge crossfire in the Middle East. When I say crossfire, suddenly the Turkey comes into picture out of the blue. There are Kurdistan rebels who are actually up and against the Turkish. There are also within Middle East itself, the Israelis are planning for a massive retaliation if Iran responds to, the retaliation against Iran. And just look at Ukraine, what is happening in Ukraine. Today, the report was saying the North Korean troops have been found in Russia. So the entire global order seems to be absolutely polarized and militarized to going up to a very skewed up kind of escalation. So therefore, I think the time has come if Honorable Minister of External Affairs could go and attend the SCO meeting in Pakistan. Well, there is no harm in telling Pakistan in clear terms, you stop this, otherwise the ceasefire will cease to exist. We will be flouting the ceasefire and hitting you hard as is to happen before 1st of February 2021. Back to you, Karthik.
Okay. I'm also joined by Dr. Ajit Singh, Senior Fellow, Institute of Conflict Management. Thank you so much for joining me. And the same question is for you. Do you think that this border understanding is proving to be a liability where Pakistani supported terrorists are wreaking havoc both in Jammu and now in the valley sector?
See, the situation is not that alarming as it is being portrayed in the media and elsewhere. Because if we go by the data, this year 2024 has recorded the lowest number of fatalities in Kashmir till date. If we go by the 1990, when the terrorism peaked in 1990, because the lowest fatality till date in a year was recorded in 2012 when it was 121, and this year, as of now, when we are speaking, it is around 107. So the situation is not that alarming. Yes, there are attacks here and there, and that is because the terrorists are down and out. Most of the terror outfits have lost their top commanders. As one of the officers said just now, the recruitment is at its lowest. There is the terror groups are dismantled. The supply of arms and ammunition is at its lowest. Now that is one of the reasons that Pakistan is deploying drones to send arms and ammunition from across the border. So there is nothing that is as alarming as it's being portrayed, and the situation is not as we have to be very realistic that this state, this union territory as of now, has seen insurgency, terrorism for a long time, almost 3 decades now. So to think that this will be over in a day or two, or just momentarily, is not going to be a correct assessment. There will be some attacks here and there, but yes, these terror groups have lost their significance, and they're not going to create the same havoc which they had earlier.
You didn't answer my question, Dr. Ajit. My question was, is ceasefire on LOC proving to be a liability?
Oh, sorry. In fact, I got only the half because of the audio problem. Yeah, no. Because if we see the data, again, because when Kashmir is most peaceful when there is a ceasefire at the border, you can see that Since between 1990 and 2007, Kashmir had witnessed more than 1,000 fatalities every year. But when the ceasefire was signed for the first time, in fact, there was no ceasefire agreement signed, but when it was, in fact, came into effect in 2003, Kashmir started witnessing lower number of violence, and in fact, it reached at its lowest in 2012. When the Modi government came in power in 2014, we started this policy of double the force, and the number of ceasefire violations incidents increased, and so the terror increased also. So in fact, I believe that it is the other way around. If there is a ceasefire at the border, it is in India's advantage only, because in the garb of ceasefire, in fact, in the garb of ceasefire violations only, Pakistan had been sending number of terrorists. So I think India should try its level best to maintain this ceasefire agreement as long as it can, because volatility at the border is not going to favor India, and it is going to, in fact, any volatility at the border is going to go against the security forces in the valley and in Jammu itself.
Okay, now before I go back to the general, let me play out a ground report which our correspondent from the ground zero in Kashmir did after the attack. Let me play it out.
इस समय हम नॉर्थ कश्मीर के गुलमर्ग इलाके में मौजूद है और यहाँ आप देख सकते हैं, यहाँ से करीबन 14 किलोमीटर की दूरी पर फिर मेन गुलमर्ग का इलाका है, जो कि एक पर्यटन स्थल है, और उस पर्यटन स्थल के पास बूटा पथरी का इलाका है, जो कि लाइन ऑफ कंट्रोल का इलाका है, करीबन 20 किलोमीटर की दूरी पर। तो यहाँ पर आप देख सकते हैं पूरी बैरिकेडिंग की हुई है। यहाँ सीआरपीएफ के जवान, जम्मू कश्मीर पुलिस के जवान तैनात है, क्योंकि यहाँ से आगे जो है जंगल का इलाका है, पहाड़ी इलाका है, और एक बड़ा मैसिव सर्च ऑपरेशन कल से ही लगातार जारी किया गया है, क्योंकि जिस तरह बूटा पथरी के इलाके में नागिन पोस्ट के पास आतंकियों ने जो आर्मी पेट्रोल है उन पर हमला कर दिया, जिसमें 2 पोर्टर्स और 2 सेना के जवान जो है वो शहीद हुए हैं। और ये टीवी9 भारतवर्ष को सूत्रों से जानकारी मिल रही है कि जो आतंकी है वो कहीं ना कहीं बूटा पथरी के इलाके से घुसपैठ कर चुके थे और वहाँ उस इलाके में मौजूद थे, और जब सेना की जो पेट्रोलिंग कॉन्वे हैं उनको इस सरहदी इलाके में देखने को मिली, और उसके बाद उन्होंने उनकी गाड़ी पर फायर खोल दिया, और लगातार सुरक्षा बलों ने वहां जवाबी कार्रवाई की और पूरे इलाके को फिलहाल कॉर्डन ऑफ कर दिया गया है। इस तरफ आप देख सकते हैं तमाम गाड़ियों को रोककर यहाँ पूरी जांच पड़ताल के बाद ही अगर किसी को आसपास के इलाके में जाना है तो वहाँ जाने दिया जाता है। लेकिन गुलमर्ग के इलाके में फिलहाल जो है मूवमेंट बंद कर दिया गया है, क्योंकि एक बड़े पैमाने का सर्च ऑपरेशन लगातार जारी है पूरे गुलमर्ग के इलाके में, क्योंकि बूटा पथरी का इलाका जो है वो एक जनरल इलाके से शुरू हो जाता है, क्योंकि वहाँ पर काफ़ी टूरिस्ट हट्स भी है, और उसके बाद आगे जाकर फिर वो जो है सरहद का जो पोस्ट इंडियन आर्मी का है वहाँ तक पहुँच जाता है, और उसके बाद फॉरवर्ड पोस्ट का इलाका है। दूसरी तरफ ये इलाका पुंछ के साथ भी कनेक्टेड है, क्योंकि साफ तौर पर आप देख सकते हैं पहाड़ी इलाका है। एक बार मेरे कैमरा पर्सन दिखाएं, सुरक्षा बल जो है लगातार यहाँ पर एक्शन में है, और इसी तरह का एक्शन लगातार टंगमर्ग से लेकर गुलमर्ग और बूटा पथरी के इलाके तक देखने को मिल रहा है, क्योंकि ये आशंका है कि जो आतंकी हमला किए हैं वो कहीं ना कहीं गुलमर्ग से लेकर बूटा पथरी के इलाके तक कहीं ना कहीं मौजूद है, और उन्हें बहुत जल्द जो है एलिमिनेट करने का जो है प्रयास शुरू किया गया, बल्कि कह सकते हैं तुरंत शुरू किया गया, और पूरे इलाके में मैसिव ऑपरेशन चलाया जा रहा है।
Let me go across to General Sudhakar ji. General, the Gulmarg terror attack has taken place after 2 decades. The attack has taken place on an open road. It's not as if this attack has taken place on a completely off the grid area. What is the big picture in your opinion?
Karthik, a very good question. My take on the whole issue is different people will have different opinion. I, being a soldier, I personally feel that there has to be some kind of a red line for the national security, and the red lines are in keeping with the national interest, is the nation prepared to pay the price of innocent human lives who are migrant workers, one after another? If the answer is yes, then well, I withdraw my comment. Is the nation prepared to pay any attack taking place against, be it the workers, be it the resources which are being utilized for the infrastructure development? Through the media, I have been making this point that the next target they will be looking at will be the Zojila tunnel. A few days back only, your channel only, I think, was covering the Ganderbal attack, where we lost a very capable and competent doctor and some migrant workers, which comprised of both Muslims and Hindus. So, is our nation prepared to be struck at a place which is a place of tourist attraction? What is the target there? 2.1 crores of tourists in 2023 has not gone down too well. Successful elections of the parliamentary election, as also the state assembly election has also not, and mind you, it has been one of the highest turnout of the people who have cast their votes. So these things are not going down too well. Plus, in today's churning of the geopolitics, it is very difficult to pinpoint who's actually the man. Is it the ISI? For us, we say proxy war has been sponsored by Pakistan since ages. It is ISI which is instrumental. So my quick response to your question is, Gulmarg, you yourself have made a statement in almost 2 decades. This is for the first time we have, whoever tourists come to Srinagar Valley, without going to Gulmarg, the tourist pilgrimage is never deemed as complete. So almost every tourist coming to the valley, they go to Gulmarg. So if they have struck a place which is between Gulmarg and the Srinagar Valley, well, their aim is very cut and dried. It's very clear. They want to strike the places which will prohibit the tourists to visit Gulmarg, as also discourage tourists to come to Jammu and Kashmir. So in addition to the economy, I would say their primary target also is the infrastructure, migrant workers, and the tourist footfall, which we have noticed during Amarnath Yatra, also Vaishno Devi, as also normal tourist footfall taking place in the valley floor. So these are the multiple kinds of objectives which the Pakistan is looking at, basically to save their backside. Why? The Pakistan army, the deep state, is under acute pressure. The survivability of Pakistan army, which is deemed as a demigod in the minds of the people of Pakistan today, there is a big question mark. Is the Pakistan army doing the right thing? Is the army taking the nation in the right direction? Imran Khan is in jail. The political dispensation is not able to take the right kind of decision. Price rise being what it is today, there is a requirement of.
Sudhakar ji, if you would have noticed, the terrorists have started to engage. If you look at the data last 1 year, the Indian army, they have been targeting the movement of the Indian army. If you look at 80s, if you look at 90s, the indiscriminate firing on villages, then gradually they moved on to army. For example, if you look at the Uri attack, the point I'm trying to make is that in this larger picture, army is the target, the security is becoming the target. If you look at all the attacks that are taking place, either the economy is getting hit or the people who are protecting the state are getting hit.
Absolutely, Karthika. I'm glad that your channel, particularly you are carrying out deep analysis and study, joining the dots, and the larger picture, a coherent picture is emerging. So I'm very happy and proud. You see, this is what is happening. They had started in the Poonch, thereafter Rajouri, then they came up to Riyasi, then went up to Doda, Kishtwar, and thereafter they have penetrated into the valley floor, and they have attacked targets in the North Kashmir, in Central Kashmir, towards Baltal side, towards Ganderbal. Now they have struck the Gulmarg. So what else is left in Kashmir Valley? And more than that, like you rightly pointed out, the security apparatus, the personnel who are responsible to ensure security in the valley floor are consistently being targeted by the terrorists. So what else are the options left? I would say we should raise up the ante. At least, if nothing, even if you want to retain the ceasefire, at least for the sake of negotiation, raise the barrier and negotiate with Pakistan from a ground of advantage, or take a tough stance. Otherwise, how long are you going to keep losing such innocent life? This is not done. I personally feel this is definitely, although the army commander has given out the facts and figures, when I myself was in the valley, in the peak of terrorism, we had a rough figure. Nowhere you will find this figure, but I am giving it out. This is out of my research. It was around 8,000 to 9,000 terrorists. And out of 8 to 9,000, today it has come down to 120, like the army commander said. Out of 120, majority are locals. There are far and few who are the foreign terrorists. If this be the constitution, 120 terrorists in the valley floor, they are holding the entire security apparatus to ransom. Is that an acceptable fact? I don't think so.
Okay.
Indian army has
Fair,
to go
I think that's a very important and strong point. Dr. Singh, I would like your response on it. I know you have a different view, but my question to you, with what the general has said, is then how does one inflict pain on Pakistan?
See, we have seen the impact of the surgical strikes after the Balakot and the Uri also. But what has changed? Nothing has changed. In fact, what has changed is the continuous effort of the security forces on the ground. And it is not because of those surgical strikes. In fact, the security forces have lost number of personnel, and they are working day in and day out to improve the situation. One strike here or one strike there is not going to dismantle the terror infrastructure inside Pakistan. So this may be something which is over-exaggerated, the impact of the surgical strikes. Yes, and that the element of surprise has also gone now. You can't go and strike all the time and get success, because Pakistan is also now much more aware, and the situation in the center has also changed. Once the very powerful the government at the center is now not that much strong also. For the government to think and for the people to think, or some people to think that the Indian government is going to get that decision and to do a similar sort of surgical strike inside Pakistan, I don't think it is going to be a wise decision, or it is going to be impactful also. On the other hand, in fact, what we need to do is to look after, to do something where the security forces deployment must be, taken into consideration now. Because what we have seen is the terrorists are moving from one place to other. When we have strengthened our security forces deployment and the situation on the ground in Valley, they moved into Jammu, and it was bound to happen. Now the focus has shifted to Jammu, and they have moved to Valley. So what we need now is to maybe on the ground we need to increase the number of security forces, because the terror situation in India, the solution is from within only. We can't, because Pakistan has been relentless since long and since beginning. To think that Pakistan is going to change its action by one surgical attack or the other.
But Dr. Ajit, I have a different opinion. I know it's unfair to compare India's position with that of Israel. It's unfair. But my position, I thank you and General, because I have run short of time. My opinion at the end of this program is that the state must demonstrate the ability to inflict pain. There might be difference of opinion as to what the Israel has done in Lebanon, in Gaza Strip, but what it has actually done through it is acquired a deterrence which it had lost, and it has acquired that position that if there will be loss of life of its own citizens, then there will be a price to pay. And I think what is happening is that Pakistan has not paid that price in full measure, whereby they have targeted our men, our people, our workers. I think that is where the story is. And on this note, I conclude my first on point. Please don't go away, because there is a second on point waiting on the other side. Thank you.